Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of The Comment Section. I'm Reagan Conrad, and in stark contrast to the People's March from last weekend, this weekend, the March for Life brought in an estimated 200,000 people from around the country, actually around the world, to walk, to educate, advocate, and celebrate for the wins of the pro-life cause. The turnout was massive. It was my first ever march, so I didn't know what's normal and what's not, but there were so many people, and they were all smiling. That's what I want to stress the most. People were happy. I think when you celebrate and you promote truth, you tend to be a bit more joyous.
No beta screams.
No beta screams. Okay, this is just one shot. I was toward the front, so I didn't even get to see this crowd in its entirety, so I'm so glad that there was drone footage, but this is wild. So many people. And it was cold and no one cared. I love it. Based Opinion said that's a hell of a lot more than the so-called resistance march had earlier this week, which is very accurate. And I just am so happy to point that out. Someone else said revival in America is underway. And someone else said not a pink in the crowd.
Thank God.
I was there, and Ken confirmed that there were no pink hats in sight. There were hats and there were pink ones, but they were not those hats, which I am glad to report. There also wasn't a single angry woman in sight. Another thing that you couldn't say if you also attended the People's March. No angry women, no angry men, bleeding, nothing. And around the same time as the March for Life, Vote Pro-Choice was posting things like this. Either we're equal humans with the power to make our own personal decisions about our bodies and our families, or we're subject to government control during life's most intimate moments. When it comes to reproductive freedom, there's no halfway. Wow. The irony of talking about human rights while advocating for abortion will never cease to not amaze me, disgust me. That's the word, disgust me.
I am disgusted.
Human rights actually start in the womb, and there is no halfway when it comes to being an advocate for life or death. Thankfully, though, hundreds of thousands of people showed up in DC to acknowledge that very fact. So much so that even the media, begrudgingly, had to acknowledge it. One guy responded to that huge crowd and said this: every January, and the legacy media and the White House usually refuse to acknowledge it. But this year is very different. We have POTUS and the VP speaking about it. God bless everyone for standing up for the smallest humans. Exactly, which we will get back to in a moment, but they couldn't ignore the March for Life this year because Trump, JD Vance, and House Speaker Johnson all gave remarks. Trump, though, appeared on screens only because he did a pre-recorded video because he had just left to go visit the people in Western North Carolina. But here are some of his remarks. And I believe that this is the first time that a president ever acknowledged the March for Life in this kind of way, which is very cool.
In my second term, we will again stand proudly for families and for life. We will protect the historic gains we have made and stop the radical Democrat push for a federal right to unlimited abortion on demand up to the moment of birth and even after birth. Think of that, after birth. And some people want that. Can you believe it? We will work to offer a loving hand to new mothers and young families, and we will support adoption and foster care.
Not only should he protect foster care, but I hope that there's a push in this new administration to overhaul the foster care system. That should be its own deep dive into why it's failing, but it needs serious, serious help.
I will also end the weaponization of law enforcement against Americans of faith, and I'm releasing the Christians and pro-life activists who were persecuted by the Biden regime for praying and living out their faith. I just signed that document and they're being released. One such American was Paula Harlow. At 75 years old, Paula was sentenced to 2 years in prison after praying outside of a clinic. That's why she was sentenced to 2 years. That's what happened under the Biden regime. This week, it was my honor to grant a full and complete pardon to Paula and many others who were the victims of this horrific weaponization. Never again will religious persecution be allowed to happen in America.
And the news of these individuals being pardoned mere hours before the March for Life happened was celebrated. It was so exciting leading into the march, knowing that those people were being freed at that moment. I mean, these individuals, many of whom were elderly, faced FBI raids in their homes and federal prosecutions. Many of whom for sitting outside of abortion clinics, singing hymns, or desperately calling to women, telling them that they are loved and that their children are loved, and they don't have to do this. I went back and watched over an hour of footage from these pro-lifers who ended up getting arrested, and that is what I saw. It was them singing and begging women to not do this and to protect their babies. Could some of their actions get them removed off the premises? Yes, of course. Could they get fined? Yes. But years in federal prison? It's absurd. The Biden administration was clearly trying to send a message. The other thing about that is people acting like that in front of abortion clinics. If you truly believe that abortion is murder and you see a woman going in too soon, she will come out without a baby. Like there's a baby alive in her. It's going to go in the abortion clinic. And when she comes back, the baby will be dead. I'm not surprised that people act like this. If we believe that they're babies, well, I'm surprised there's not way more of this happening, you know? It's like, I get it. But then Bill Clinton passed the FACE Act, which prohibited people from doing what they got in trouble for doing. Thanks, Bill. One of those people who was imprisoned was a mother named Beverlyn Williams. And I've been following her story for a while now and watched her as she talked about turning herself into custody just a few months ago.
I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting the judge to rule on the time that prosecution was requesting. I just couldn't believe 41 months plus 2 years of supervised release. It just was like, oh my, this is overwhelming. But, you know, they made it very clear, you know, a lot of people, thousands of people watched you stand in front of that abortion clinic and make the stance that you made. And, you know, before they get inspired by what you did, we're going to give you a serious sentence and we're going to make a statement. And they were not secretive about it. They made that very clear in court. My daughter is 2. My husband works from home and I'm a stay-at-home mother, aside from whatever I do for the Lord. My daughter does not know what it's like to be without her mom. It's going to be hard for her. And my husband, he is really trying, but I find him sitting by himself sometime crying or sitting alone and just in deep thought. And he's devastated about the injustice of it.
It's so heartbreaking to hear her talking about this. And this is her speaking before she went to prison, which then for the last couple months, she has been in prison. But knowing that she has this young daughter and the government is ripping her away from her young daughter because she was advocating for the lives of other babies. Trump did pardon 23 pro-life individuals, which was what he was talking about in this video and what everyone was celebrating at the March for Life because he had done it mere hours, I think, before the March for Life actually started, which was so cool and so exciting to start that day with that news. When her story first was going viral on the internet, many people were trying to say that she was being arrested and serving prison time for a violent crime, which she quickly fact-checked because that simply was not the case. She tweeted this a few months ago and said, "This is my surrender paperwork. I just want you guys to know what the media said about me being violent is a lie. My category of offense is unlawful assembly." And here's the paper directly from the US federal government saying that she was being arrested for unlawful assembly. Nothing violent, but yet she's serving multiple years behind bars. Wild. But here is a video of her just a few days ago after she was pardoned from President Trump, reuniting with her husband and her daughter.
Look at mama. Look at mama. Look at us.
Y'all. Oh my God. I'm home. I'm free.
And here's a message from her and her husband to Donald Trump.
President Trump, I just want to thank you for being a man of your word and bringing me home to my family.
Yo, you put a black family back together so they can never say you a racist.
Never.
Watching this video was so wholesome and so sweet and honestly helped me sleep at night because I was deep into the pits of hell on pro-choice X. So between watching that video and falling asleep on my new Helix mattress, I was right out. Because you know that feeling when you are absolutely exhausted, but your brain just won't shut off? Like in my case yesterday, that has certainly been me lately. But recently I discovered Helix and it has been a game changer for getting a good night's sleep. Over at Helix, they don't just sell you some random mattress. They actually match you with the perfect one for your body and your sleep style. Whether you're a side sleeper, a back sleeper, or somewhere in between, like myself, they've got you covered. And trust me, when you find the right match, you will wonder how you ever slept on anything else. I've had a mattress for decades, probably way too long. It's been passed around. It's not good. But now, especially that I'm married, I have a new mattress. And this Helix is changing the game, but I only share that information to tell you that this is a big deal that I have now replaced it with the Helix because it too is like a cloud. It's so squishy. I thought it takes years for mattresses to become squishy because they have to, get like comfortable over time, get used. Right out of the gate, this thing is A dream. So if you have realized that you too have been sleeping on a mattress for over a decade, it is the perfect time to upgrade your sleep because Helix is offering an incredible deal. Make 2025 your year to finally get a new mattress and get restful and rejuvenating sleep. Go to helixsleep.com/Conrad for 20% off site-wide, plus get 2 free dream pillows with a mattress purchase. That's helixsleep.com/Conrad for 20% off site-wide, plus 2 free dream pillows with a mattress purchase. helixsleep.com/Conrad. So no more dealing with old, used, stained mattresses. Speaking of stains, though, one guy said their incarceration will be a permanent stain on the Americans' legal system.
I see no problem with that transition.
Someone else said, and the guys who continually rob stores where I work and get caught get released within a day. This is absolutely meant to stop people with different opinions. They don't care about the real criminals. In discussing the real criminals, I can't help but think about the criminals who called themselves part of Jane's Revenge back in 2022 and 2023. The group that vandalized and committed acts of arson against pro-life centers and pregnancy clinics. I really wonder how much time those arsonists served in federal prison. I did actually look into that, and all I could find is one of the Florida cases where the vandals had to pay restitution. But as of July, their case had been stayed without any further action. So they were not put in prison for burning things down and vandalizing clinics. It's the injustice. But God forbid, old women link their little arms, they sing hymnals, and they yell things like, "It's not too late to change your mind. We will do whatever we can to help you. We love your baby." That was literally verbatim what they were saying. But federal prison. Make it make sense.
We have people that are stupid.
Here's a clip from the March for Life of House Speaker Johnson and his remarks at the rally, which I thought were especially insightful, and I didn't know this about his personal life.
I was born in January 1972. It was almost exactly 1 year before Roe v. Wade became the law of the land. I was the product of an unplanned teen pregnancy, and I am so eternally grateful that my mom and dad ignored all the people who told them to just take care of that problem, and they chose to embrace life and to have me, the first of their 4 children. If they It's a simple fact, a very simple fact. If they had not done that, then I would not be here. And I often wonder who else we have missed and what those individuals might have contributed to our society and our world, but they were just never given the opportunity.
His story actually resonates with me and my family and my dad's story. And I think that a lot of people can relate to stories like that. Someone actually said, "So am I. My mom was 16. She was taken to the clinic to abort me. She refused." Another woman said, "A great many people were unplanned pregnancies," which I thought was just a great line. Someone else said, "Strong words, true words. Life is precious no matter how it starts. Every child is a chance, a story waiting to be told. Glad to see someone speak with courage." And I love that line. Every child is a chance. And I hadn't heard that before. I think that's like every child is a chance and deserves a chance. My favorite line that was being said time and time again throughout the day and throughout the march was their message about believing in a world in which abortion is unthinkable. Not just outlawed, but unthinkable. To get back to a society where the truth is known in every gruesome detail of the procedure and the effects it has on women who lose their children is universally seen as abhorrent. And you might say, well, Reagan, that's impossible. There's no way that could happen. Is it? I mean, in a little over a decade, the pro-abortion side went from calling the need for it to be rare to abortion being loved and prized and now protected at all costs.
I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy. And I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions.
It concerns me a great deal that we're going to, after 50 years, decide a woman does not have a right to choose.
If it can become a platform pillar and beloved so quickly, especially considering the whole pro-choice movement has grown out of lies and deception, imagine what the truth could do. One of the biggest takeaways and the things that I am most excited for with this new chapter of the March for Life and the pro-life movement as a whole is their focus on loving and caring for both mothers and their babies. Pair these organizations like March for Life and their heightened focus on loving both with the Trump admin's promises to make it more affordable and give incentives to have and care for children, and we may finally be entering an era where the truth can be heard by those with their ears and eyes actually open. My favorite poster from the march was one from Every Life, and it just said, "Make more babies," which I saw a bunch of people carrying, and I thought that was hilarious. Especially there were like men wearing "Make more baby" hats, which was just that was funny. JD Vance made a similar comment at the rally, and that sentiment was obviously loved by none other than Elon Musk. Obviously. Here's a clip of that.
So let me say very simply, I want more babies in the United States of America.
So it's just that clip, but Elon retweeted it with just some American flags. One person under that said, encouraging more babies in the US is one thing, but what about addressing the reasons people are hesitant? Housing, healthcare, education, it all connects. Thoughts? Which I would say to that, exactly. All of those are factors scaring people away from even wanting children in the first place. So they should be addressed. And I have even higher expectations from a pro-life administration to address those very concerns. And at the march, as I've already shown earlier, they were already being discussed. Another commenter under Elon's tweet was one of those far out of left field, just wanted to emphasize that I wanted to highlight because it was wild. Someone said, you want more white babies. Just say the quiet part out loud because there are a lot of babies and children in foster care that need homes. Take care of the ones we already have. So does the need to take care of the ones we already have justify the killing of the ones not yet born? Two things can be true at the same time. The foster care system needs to be overhauled and babies need a chance to be born. Also, I never understand why adoption is not discussed more. There are currently 1 to 2 million couples actively seeking a child via adoption and are simply waiting. So these babies are wanted, if not by their own families, by other families who would happily take them. Imagine if these millions of children, rather than being aborted, were being adopted. It's just so frustrating to me. The forced pregnancy term. Oh, the forcing. No, have the baby, give the baby up. Don't kill the baby for your own convenience. Now back to the first part of that tweet in which the woman said more white babies. There was another white woman who commented a similar sentiment under that. So I just wanted to show this because apparently this is a thing in Elon's comment section. Someone said more white babies. Should start saying the most important part out loud. No, Karens, we're talking about all babies. You're the one saying white babies. They say the racist things and then they call us racist. Like, we're not saying white babies. We're trying to protect all babies. We pro-lifers have been yelling from the rooftops that, in fact, it is the minority babies who are killed the most from abortion. So that stupid attempt at a fascist argument is just completely moot. Planned Parenthood actively targets low-income communities and kill record numbers of Black babies every single year within those communities. So how is that not genocide? How is that not seen as a purposeful annihilation of Black lives? I mean, make it make sense. The hypocrisy of it being like Black Lives Matter until the Black lives are unborn, in which case it's encouraged, it's welcomed, it's brought into these. It's so hypocritical. It's like, be consistent, and they're not. And that's where we can call it out and show that it's not actually about saving Black lives. What did another stupid person say? Oh yeah, she said, promoting more babies while pushing mass deportations is hypocritical. It's about controlling women through abortion bans, enforcing an ideal of the right kind of population, and rejecting those who don't fit that vision. Clear fascist playbook. Have you studied history? Like, do you know what the clear fascist playbook actually would be? Because clearly not. But again, it's like, if you know, then the liberal ideology of aborting mass amounts of babies falls far more in line with the classic fascist playbook. But regarding the mass deportations being hypocritical, I mean, are they? Because the last time I checked, this crackdown from ICE agents and Border Patrol has apparently already rescued and identified thousands of missing kids from the Biden administration's border failure. They kept being like, you're deporting all these people, and it's like, no, we're just reinforcing law and order again. There's nothing fascist about that.
Yeah, we're just kicking criminals out.
And we're saving tens of thousands of children already. 4 days in. It's not fascist. I'll fight this stupid fascist claim till my dying day. Go read a book about history. Just because we're sending criminals back to their home countries does not make us fascist. We're not sending them to concentration camps. Now, the left clearly hates to see this, and the media also hates to see it, and they certainly hate covering it, but the conservative movement is pro-family and is pro-children. But I noticed in their barely visible coverage of the March for Life that the media was too focused on Trump to actually cover the messaging from the march. Hence why I felt it was important to share what I saw. But I noticed that not a single mainstream media outlet used the phrase pro-life in their headlines. We've been exclusively renamed to anti-abortion protesters. I guess pro-life is too true and uplifting a phrase. And while the left truly loves a good euphemism to make a harsh reality sound nice, like pro-choice or pro-women or reproductive rights, pro-life is one of the few catchphrases that is literally and scientifically accurate, which is why we will continue saying it. Seeing that the majority of people at this event were young high school and college-age students, it gave me so much hope around this issue. For a topic as sensitive and challenging, but also medically clear as in the case of abortion, science is on our side. Organizations like Live Action or Students for Life know this, and they work so hard to simply educate young people with those facts. And through content like Live Action's incredible baby Olivia video, which I would recommend everyone go and watch that full video, or through increasing advancements in science in general, the truth of the sanctity of life will eventually be impossible to deny. So get informed, spread the truth with love, and let's keep up the work to become the generation that makes abortion unthinkable. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. If you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video if you enjoyed it, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks so much, and have a great day.